Hello everyone, welcome back to the workshop. Today's video is all about the project Stopgap. We've finally got around to making a start, and if you watched my previous video, you may recall seeing that I've got a D3 frame for it now. I decided not to use the D5 that I had because it just had so many problems that I think we'd have spent weeks just getting the frame right. So we've got a D3, we're going to stick with our D10 4-speed engine and our B175 Bushman forks, and we're going to have a go at building a Greenlaner or a trials bike, call it what you will really, something for me to get out and about and explore some of the green routes around where I live, and a fun project and a bit of a learning challenge along the way as well, hopefully. So today we're going to do taper roller head bearings, steering head bearings, and it's a conversion. The Bantams normally have cup and cone ball bearings, and one of the reasons that I'd like to do this conversion really is because I don't like fitting the individual ball bearings. I struggle with it because I can't really feel my fingertips anymore, and I struggle with doing the job. And also, it's a bit of an upgrade. We're going to be fitting easily obtainable modern bearings, and they're very easy to fit once you've done the conversion. So if you needed to replace them, it would be child's play really. And the BSA originals are getting quite hard to find, the cup and cones especially. You can buy 1/4-inch ball bearings, but the cup and cones are getting quite hard to find, certainly in good condition. So quite a few good reasons to do the conversion, and if it's successful, I'm hoping that it will help other Bantam owners out who may be experiencing similar difficulties. It's not my idea. Charlie Prescott over at the BSA Otter website, which is a fantastic resource if you haven't been over there and had a look. Charlie came up with the idea. He sort of developed the swaging tools to do the job, and I've really just followed in his footsteps. I've made some adaptations to suit my purposes and my facilities. But all credit to Charlie. His idea, he came up with the method. So as I say, we're treading a path already walked by Charlie. You'll notice I'm wearing a new T-shirt. I've got my Oz BSA Bantams T-shirt on. This was very kindly sent over from Australia by Bones at Oz BSA Bantams, and I'm very happy to sport the colours of Oz BSA Bantams in the workshop. Bones is a great guy. He is pretty much an authority on the BSA Bantam, and he's got an exceptional YouTube channel. You will find it on YouTube. If you type in Tony Farmer, Oz BSA Bantams, you'll find it, and I'm sure that you'll find something interesting there. He does a lot of rebuilds, both for himself and for customers, and I've learned a lot from watching his channel, and he was here last summer in the workshop, stayed with us, and we had a fantastic time. So thanks again, Bones. I shall wear it with pride, mate. Speaking of Christmas presents, I've got one more thing to show you. I wanted to get this in the video. We're turning into the Bantam garage here. This is a present from my wife. She bought me this for Christmas, so this is going up on the workshop wall, and it's fantastic little metal sign, a little enamel sign, and very happy to have that. So that was a great Christmas present, and I guess we best get on with some work really. Sit and listen to me waffling all day. Let's get on with some work, see how we get on fitting these bearings. So here we are looking at the swaging tools that I've been working on, and also our new bearings. That was still in the pack. I've not bothered taking it out yet. And I've also got the original BSA bearing cup here. This is the ball bearing type cup that we are replacing. And we're going to do some measuring so that I can show you exactly what we're going to do and how we're going to do it. And I'll let you in on the secret of which bearings are the right ones or which ones seem to be the right ones, because I must confess I've had a couple of different sets. Sometimes when you're looking at bearing charts and you're looking online, the measurements that you see and you think, oh, that'll do the job,
and then you get the bearing in your hand and there's a slight variance, and you know, I've kind of been not caught out, I wouldn't say, but certainly I've had a bit of a learning experience. But I think we've hit the right ones now, and these are part number 324805. It doesn't actually say that on them. We've got a manufacturer's number, which is 274814, made in Japan by NTN. But you order them as 324805. And these are a 48mm OD, 27 ID, and they're just short of 14mm in height, which is, I think, ideal because they're actually slightly shorter, at least in the outer race, I don't know if you can see that, than the BSA bearing by about, well, not quite a millimetre. So we're not going to have any problems with our bearings protruding out of the steering head too far and causing us issues fitting our forks by, you know, basically taking up the, well, reducing this distance here by protruding too far and making our yokes sit higher than they need to. So I think we can avoid that, hopefully. So let's take some measurements. First of all, I'll do the BSA original cup, or outer race if you prefer. And what have we got? 47, 66, 67 millimeters, that is. Although obviously it would never have been manufactured with millimeters in mind. And then, excuse me, our new outer race. Try that again. There's some, possibly picked up a little bit of grit on the jaws there. These calipers not particularly accurate, but close enough for what we're doing. 47.99. So pretty much accurate to 48 millimeters, which is good. Let's do the height, because that's important. That's the dimension I was just talking about. Just short of 10 millimeters, 995. And then this one's just a little bit higher, the original. There you go, 11.1. So that's good news because it gives us a little bit of wiggle room. Overall height of the bearing assembled, what, 13.5, I think. It's listed as 14, but as I said, sometimes when you have the bearing in your hand, it's not quite. Yeah, I'm getting 13.40. So, good news, I think. I still need this, don't I? We need to swage out our bearing tube. This is what I've made to do it. It's a piece of 420 in the T condition, so more than up to the job. Stainless steel, not too worried about it galling because we're only going in, I don't know, 10, 11 millimeters. Let's have a look. Yeah, about 11.5 millimeters, and we won't get all the way in. I've made it slightly over long. Not going in very far, and we'll give it a good grease up as well when we use it. So let's measure this up, so that if you want to do this, you'll have a bit of a guide. Obviously, your headstock might vary slightly from mine, but as a guide, this will help. So I've made that 47.9. 47.9. So that's 47.9. That's 47.99. So just under a tenth. And the reason why I've made it a little bit smaller than the bearing is because it's likely to bell mouth when we push this in, and that's why I've made this part here, which I measured the OD of the headstock as it stands, and then I added what I estimated the amount of movement would be, and I was a little bit generous in that regard, so that if it does bell mouth, we can re-parallel it, bring it back to parallel by pushing this driving this over the outer diameter with our forcing screw. So that's the purpose of that. This is our big washer for drawing it all together, and as you can see, it's slightly distorted because I have been playing with this. I've been messing around with the D5, the old D5 frame, and I think we've got a workable tool. So we'll go and have a look at the D3 frame now. Have a look at the dimensions on the headstock, because there has been a little bit of jiggery pokery done to the D3, and this original bearing was a very loose fit in the top diameter of the headstock. I think someone's damaged it in the past and then blended it out, and then this, I wouldn't have been happy fitting the original bearings back in. I would have had to have made a swage to push it the other way and to bring it back down again, because I think what someone's done is they've put this in on the squint at some point, scored up the bores, and then they've blended out the damage and left it oversized. So actually, by swaging out for our new bearings, we're not just modifying the headstock on this bike, we're actually repairing it as well. So just as well, we're able to do it. Touch wood. We've not seen the finished result yet, but hopefully we'll get to where we need to be. So let me move the camera, let you have a look at the frame itself. Hopefully in focus. Upper bearing seat on the headstock tube of the D3 frame, and you can see that it's quite shiny. I've been polishing this with various grades of abrasive paper because there were some not particularly bad scores, but there were some scores in here which I think had been caused by this original race being put in squint and then having to be driven out to get it out again, and causing some damage. And we all know what a score is. It's an apprentice crack, and as we are going to swage this and force this metal out, we don't want the risk of any scores opening up and actually splitting this tubular section. So polished them all out, haven't really removed any metal, just blended everything to a smooth finish. And let me show you the issue that we would have had if we were fitting the original bearing race. And that's it all the way in, and that's it all the way out. Yeah, it would have been a little bit loose. We may have got away with a Loctite product, but to be honest with you, there's quite a lot of headache in there. I wouldn't have been particularly happy with it. Would probably have worked, but yeah, not ideal. So a good job really that we're going to do the job that we're going to do, and we're going to use our swaging tool, which starts in there quite nicely. We're going to use our forcing screw to pull it through with a washer. Can't really see that very well, can you? Let me move the camera. There you go. With our big washer underneath and our nut, and we're going to draw all this down, and we're going to try to keep it nice and square. And if it starts to go off a little bit, we will just tickle it up with a dead blow hammer just to get it square again, simply because the dead blow hammer will impart, you know, a good knock to our tool. We were battering away at it, you know, every chance that we'd cause some damage, we'd cause some scores. But if we just knock it square every now and again, if it does move, we'll be fine. So that's the plan. I'm going to flip the frame over so you can have a look at the other side. 1 second while I do that. Looking at the other end of the job then, the lower bearing seat, and you can see that I've left the steering lock loop fitted. I was going to grind this off, but I haven't done that yet. I may leave it on there permanently. I haven't decided. But when I was messing around with the D5 frame, I found that the swaging tool would actually work with this fitted. I mean, it took quite a bit of force because obviously it reinforces this portion of the diameter here. But it did work. It did move. So we're going to leave it on, see how we get on. If it causes us too many problems, then I will whip it off with a grinder and clean all this up. But I really don't want to modify this frame too much. I don't want, you know, if it needed to be inspected for registration purposes or anything like that, and we've been hacking around with it too much, it might cause us some problems. So I've just been around in here again with a little bit of abrasive paper just to make sure that there are no nasty nicks or scores. And nasty Nick, he was on EastEnders, wasn't he? Anyway, there we go. So it doesn't have to move very far. So we should be all right with the swaging tool. Plenty of grease on, and we will give it what ho with the biggest torque wrench that I've got, which is the longest. I don't have a great big breaker bar, unfortunately, but my big long torque wrench should do the job. It certainly did on the D5 anyway. So we'll give it a go and see where we get to. So that's about it, really. We might as well have a go and see if we can do it. Well, I've stripped a few pieces from the frame. I've removed the swinging arm and the rear subframe because it makes it much easier to move the frame around in the vise. And I have to say, my Swindon's vise is absolutely brilliant. So versatile. I don't know what I'd do without it, really. Right, let's get some grease on the job. For that grease tin, I've had that for absolutely years. I just keep refilling it. You don't get them like that anymore, do you? Anyway, a bit sad getting excited about a grease tin, but there we go. That's just the way it is. Let's put some in here, and make sure I get the right end. You see, I put quite a good lead on that. Focus. Quite a good lead on that edge there, so that it's hopefully will start straight. Whack a bit of grease around here. There we go. Okay. We need our bolt. Thick washer and a nut. Is M20 bolt. I don't think you'd want anything much smaller, really. That's quite a job to do. See if we can at least start off straight, and then we've got a good chance of staying straight, haven't we? Right. 30mm spanner. Should go in that way on the torque wrench. This is my big torque wrench. Just make sure you can see everything. Now, I don't think this is going to need as much force as the D5 did, because it's, we saw how the original bearing race just dropped in. That's staying straight, going slightly. That's it. That's going. It's taking quite a bit of effort. Oh. Okay, I think that's bottomed out. Go the other way. Okay. Definitely done something. Okay, I've got this great big bolt that my brother gave me quite a few years ago, and it's ideal for just getting the swaging tool out. Oops, just nip the vice up a little bit. Just going. Well, didn't really want that to happen. Never mind. They're clean. It's not done any harm anyway. Well, starting. Thinking it could do with a little bit more actually. I don't want a loose fit obviously, but it's not quite the start that I was hoping for. Having said that, I wonder if it's bell mouthed it slightly. Maybe we'll just give that a little bit of a try. I don't think this is going to do much actually, but we'll give it a go. That pretty much fell on. It's on a little bit more convincingly than I thought it might be. Well, that's definitely done something. Yeah, I think that this needs opening out a little bit more, just a tiny bit more. I mean, that would probably go, but I think I'd have to knock it in quite hard. I mean, we will warm the housing up, the headstock. We will warm that up before we knock it in. But yeah, I would like just a tiny little bit more of a start. So what I think I'm going to do, I've got the side of the tool that I just used then. See, that won't quite go in. So there's been a little bit of spring back. Well, and also I just probably closed it up a little bit with the with a truing tool, this one. What I think I'm going to do is just turn that ever so slightly slightly larger than the surface we just used, and then I'm going to run that in there That starts actually. The one thing I don't want to do is make this too big, so I'll go away, turn that down a little bit, and then we'll have a go at just opening it out ever so slightly more, see if we get a better fit on our bearing. So bear with me, and we'll be back in a moment. Right, I've just taken an absolute whisper off of that. You've seen this? Wow. $47, $85, $84. $47, $98, $99. Let's give that a go. Let's give that a go, because obviously we've seen that it doesn't open out the hole to exactly the size of the tool, particularly when you use the truing tool to get rid of any bell mouthing. Let's give it a go. We might not need to do that next time. We might not need to do it this time. But I made the tool, so yeah, might as well give it a go, hadn't we? The rest of this tooling as well, I mentioned what I made this out of, which was a piece of 420 in the T condition, because I had it. I needed to buy some material to make all this stuff. I just bought a piece of EN3. More than up to the job. If you're using it repeatedly in a sort of production environment, possibly not. But more than up to the job for just doing this. No heat treatment, just used it as it came. You can't really do that much with EN3 anyway. It doesn't take to annealing very well. You'd be better off case hardening it if you wanted to treat it at all. But unnecessary for what we're doing here. Not as though I'm going to be doing these day in, day out. Okay, just true that up a little bit. Right. Fingers crossed we don't overdo it. Okay, we've hit the bottom. That is in there. Tell you what I'll do. I'll bring you back when I've got it. Right, it's out. And I didn't learn from my previous mistake, and I threw it on the floor again. But anyway. no harm done. Okay. There we go. Much better. Much better. So it just goes in all the way around. So that if we heat up the headstock tube, we should have no problem with that going in without causing any damage. If you heat it, it will fit. There's a movie about that, isn't there? I can't remember now. Let's just get that out of there. I will whip the frame over, do the other side, and then we'll stick it all together. Right, other side's been done, and I used my brain knocking it out. I didn't go too bananas, and fourth time lucky, didn't drop it on the floor. Third time lucky, rather. So what I found on the D5 was because of this bracket, it didn't move as much on the lower end. So we'll give it a try, because we might have to do a bit more. Hopefully not. I was a bit concerned about it going out of round as well, because obviously you've got a lot more reinforcement here, but it doesn't appear to have done. Yeah, a little bit tighter, but it does go in, as you can see. It does start. So I'm going to count that as a win. Get these then out of there. So we've got bearing races that start on both sides. So we're well on our way, I think, to fitting these taper rollers. So next job, I'll get the heat gun out. I'll get these housings warmed up, and get the bearing races fitted. I'm not sure that I'll show all of that, because the heat gun is really noisy. Will I put these in the freezer for a little while? Don't know if I'll need to, really. I think we'll just warm the housing up, see how we get on. Domestic freezers only go to about -15 anyway, which really you want -70 or more to make that much of a difference. But yeah, every little bit helps, don't get me wrong, but I think we'll just try with the heat gun. So let me do that. Right, that's our outer races fitted, and they went in lovely. The lower one was a little bit tighter, but we kind of expected that with the steering lock lug still being fitted. The lower housing didn't expand quite as much as the top, but it was certainly good enough. I warmed up the housings with the heat gun, and just a little bit of a tap with a piece of aluminium interposed between the surfaces, and in they went, nice and square, and they went all the way home. So there we go. There's our inner race, and very pleased so far. Let me just move the camera a little bit so that you can see something else. Excuse the shaky camera work. It's a trademark of this channel. Okay, so we've got the lower yoke and stem here, and whilst I had the heat gun out, I thought, well, I might as well get this fitted. So that's now fitted onto the stem, the inner race there. I have got a little seal, which I will fit final assembly, because obviously this all has to come apart again so that we can clean all this up and paint it. But it wouldn't have been much of a video if I didn't show you it all going together. So I will be taking this back off again, so that can go on for the final fit. And there's no thickness to it at all, so it's not going to make any difference to our stack. So there we go, we're nearly there, aren't we? We now need to make top hat sleeve. Let's bring that. Oh, excuse me. what did I tell you about the camera work? Let me just bring this in. There you go, we've got a rattling fit there, so we need to make a sleeve. We need to be careful with our measurements, and certainly not make the hat section too thick, because we don't want to lose the advantage that we've got on our nice slim bearings, jacking up the top yoke. So I'm going to go over to the lathe and make that now, and then once we've got that piece, we can put it all together and see how it goes. Okay, we're approaching the moment of truth and getting ready to assemble our steering head with our new taper roller bearings. I've just manufactured this part on the lathe, and this is the collar, or bush if you prefer, to take up the distance between the upper bearing, inner race, and stem. And if you're going to do this job yourselves, this is the piece that you really need to take your time and make to the best of your abilities, because it has to be a really good fit in the inner race, and it feels as though it won't go in, but it will. It'll only just go in. Once it's in there, it's a nice sliding fit, but we'll grease it before we put it in there. And it also has to be a really good but sliding fit on the stem. So like, it only just goes on there, but it does slide. A really, really good fit on there. And I had to take my time to get this absolutely spot on, because for your upper bearing, you want it to be able to float. And what I mean by float is when you are setting your preload and adjusting your bearings, you want this bearing to be able to move up and down on the stem. You don't want it to do that at all. No headache at all if you can get away with it, because if you do, then you're going to have play in your steering bearings you can't adjust out. This up and down float is fine, because you can nip up your adjusting nut and you can adjust and take them out. But if you've got any headache or rock, you can't take that out on adjustment, and you'll feel it. So when you're riding your bike, if you go over a bump or you use the brakes, you'll be able to feel that kind of thud as it takes up the play. And also, certainly in the UK, we have what's called an MOT test, an annual MOT test, which is a Ministry of Transport test. It's a roadworthiness test. And most Bantams, because they're over 40 years old, are exempt from the test. But some bikes, if they've been particularly heavily modified, are not exempt. So if you have to have an MOT test and you've got this rock or play in your bearings, chances are you'll fail the test, and then you're going to have to make another one of these to get rid of the play. So this is the part that you want to really take your time on, and if you make a hash of it, just scrap it and start again, because this has to be right. Anyway, I'm waffling on again. Let me move the camera. We'll start putting things together, and we'll see if it all works. Right, so I've moved you so that you can see what's going on with the headstock. Here's the bearing with the sleeve fitted. Let me just push that out just slightly. There you go, you can see what kind of fit you need to achieve there. Literally needs to be very, very good fit. So I've just put a little bit of just a smear of grease, just to stop anything from galling, but we don't want to grease it all up just yet, because it all has to come apart again, obviously, for painting and all the rest of it. You'll recall that we had our bearing on there already. I've not fitted the seal, but that's got to come apart as well. This is really just a test run, so let me just give that a light smear of grease as well, just to just to stop any marking or falling. Okay, still seeing that? Yeah, you are. So that's going to go in there like that. Hopefully, got a win here. drop that in there with our sleeve. Push that down. Then we need our top yoke and the nut. And again, we'll fit a seal when we come to do it properly, but at the moment, making sure that it all goes together. Wipe that down. A little bit of free tension. Just undone it again. There we go. Spin that around. You can see there's a pinch bolt there. So you free tension it on with this this top nut, which is split, and then when you tighten up the pinch bolt, it locks the yoke onto the nut, and it also locks the nut onto the threads, prevents your preload from coming undone. So it's quite clever, really. There's two jobs in one. Anyway, there we go. That feels quite nice. I'm just going to give it a bit of a. I know we're in the light, so it's not ideal. I can't feel any headache in it. Probably should do the pinch bolt up, really, but I think that demonstrates it quite well. Just bring it a little bit closer. Maybe a little bit too close. No. I want you to get a good view. Now, the first thing I'm noticing is we've got a bit of a gap here, and our steering stops, slightly out. So hopefully that isn't going to cause a problem when we come to fit the forks. This looks about the same, as far as I can tell, up here, as the D7. This looks a little bit lower down here. Just move you again, make sure you get a good view. So you see the steering stops here. They're looking a little bit low. So we might have to build up the stop plate slightly. But that gap is, I think, let me just go and have a look at the D7 just quickly. Try not to kick the camera as I go past. And measure that. Hopefully you can hear me. Difficult to get the ruler straight, but about 6 millimeters. Right, I haven't left yet, I am still here. So the measure of that. About 8 millimeters. So we've gained a couple of millimeters there. Hopefully 2 millimeters or 2.5 millimeters, I think it was, just about. Won't make too much of a difference when we come to fit our forks. I don't think it will. So there we go. So far, so good. Tapered roller bearings. Feel very good. So I'm quite happy with that. I think we'll call that a day for this job, and I need to have a good tidy up of the workshop before we do the next job, which I think will be to strip down the forks and get them cleaned up so that we can fit them and make sure that they still fit with our taper roller bearings,
But as I say, for two and a half millimeters, I can't get my words out. 2 to 2.5 millimeters, I don't think we'll have an issue, but we may just have to do something with the stops. But may have to do something with the stops anyway, because I haven't tried these forks with the fuel tank that we've got, so that could be interesting. On the photograph of the bike that I showed you on my last video, Irene Draper's trials bike, the tank's got dents basically put into the front edge of it to give the forks a bit more turning circle. So hopefully we don't have to do that, but I imagine that they did that on the competition bikes just to get a bit more steering lock, the tighter sections, tighter trial sections. So we will see when we get the forks in how well it works with our tank, whether we need to do anything with those lock stops, and yeah, it's lots of work to do, but we're making some progress. Right, I think that's it for this video. I hope that you've enjoyed watching it. I've certainly enjoyed making it. I've enjoyed doing this job. It's been very lathe intensive. As you can see, we need a good clean, but I like working on the lathe. Good old Max never lets me down, and yeah, I've really enjoyed doing this job. Hopefully this taper roller conversion will be successful. I can't see any reason why it won't be. We'll get the forks in on the next one and just make sure everything works as it should. I can't imagine that extra couple of mil that we found will make too much difference. But yeah, we'll just get it all together and make sure that it's all fine. Hopefully this will help other people out as well. I know that the original ball race cup and cones are getting quite hard to find. I don't think any of the suppliers list them. I might be wrong, but if you have to buy second-hand ones, you run that risk, don't you, always, of finding something that's just as bad or maybe even worse than the stuff you're taking out. So if this can give people a bit of a way forward, then so much the better. And it's certainly got Project Stopgap off the blocks, and we're up and running and making progress, which is always good. So thanks very much indeed, everyone. Thanks for your subscriptions and your likes. We've had quite a few new subscribers come along, so welcome to all of you. You're very welcome. You've joined the happy band, and those of you who've been with me for a while, some of you since the very beginning, thanks for sticking with me, and it is hugely appreciated, all the support you've given me. Next video, I think I mentioned, we'll have a look at the forks, and I think that should be a good one, so watch out for that. And until then, mind how you go, and I'll see you soon. Bye for now.